Patikulamanasikara is the contemplation of unattractiveness or loathsomeness, to use the usual translation. That's a particular practice used to counteract the habits of sense desire, particularly in relationship to other human beings, and sexual desire. Bringing up the unattractive aspects is a counterbalance, because the mind tends to veer towards seeing the attractive of whatever particular variety of human beings and shapes and forms and genders and such like, that the mind is habituated to, say, inclining towards. So it's a balancing method. It's a skillful means to counteract a strong habit. In the Book of the Ones, the numerical discourses, I think the very first sutra in the whole collection says, I mean, it's very sort of heterosexually based. It says, sutra number 1 is, there's nothing more powerful to the mind of the man than the sight, sound, smell, taste and touch of a woman. Sutra number 2 is, there's nothing more powerful in the mind of a woman than the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch of a man. Boom, that's how the whole collection of thousands of teachings begins. And also in the northern tradition, in the Sutra of 42 sections, I believe there's one of the sections that says, sexual desire is the most powerful force in the universe. If there was 2 forces as powerful as this, there will be no hope for any being to be ever liberated from samsara. Which is a powerful statement. And so it's the contemplations of unattractiveness or loathsomeness are a skillful means to counteract that powerful force. It's like if you're building a dam, if you want to make a lake and you want to build a dam, you've got to construct a dam with really good engineers, really good design, really good materials, and you've got to check that it's doing its job. And so this kind of practice is like a dam that is there to contain the instinctual energies and conditioning of the mind. And we're born because of sexual desire. Pretty much every single human being, that's how we all came into existence, was because of the sexual desire between our parents, one way, shape or form. And so that is, in a sense, the Buddha pointing to, get your mind around this. This is a very powerful force in the universe, and this is part of your physical being. The conditioning of the human form contains this. Get to know this. Don't overlook this. Don't push this aside or take it lightly. Pay attention. That kind of practice is sometimes it's looked down upon as cultivating hatred or aversion or sort of, and I know particularly in modern times, body image, and particularly for younger people and young women especially, there's a huge amount of suffering, depression, anxiety, self-harming, suicide around body image. So I fully appreciate that this kind of practice needs to be, considered and applied in the light of the current psychological landscape. That is one of the practices. It might be useful for someone or it might not. If they already feel that they are loathsome, or that other people are interesting, but I am already loathsome and horrible and my body is disgusting, then that's not a useful practice. And even in the Buddha's time, there's one of the origin stories to one of the most serious rules is because the Buddha was giving this kind of teaching, and he went off into solo retreat. I don't know if this is found in the Tibetan canon, but it's the background story to the third defeat rule, the third parajika rule about not killing. The Buddha gave a lot of teachings about the unattractiveness, the contemplations of loathsomeness, went off into retreat in the forest for a couple of weeks, came back out and found that a lot of the monks had committed suicide, or had another of the monks kill them for them because they were so disgusted with their own bodies. And so then he gathered the Sangha together. There's this poignant moment where the Buddha says to Ananda, the Sangha is very diminished. Where are all why are the monks fewer in number than when I went into retreat? People assume that the Buddha only asks questions because he's going to give a teaching, or whether he sincerely asked Ananda, where have all the monks gone? Again, that's the point for debate amongst the Buddhologists and historians and such like, whether the Buddha needed to ask Ananda where the monks had gone. But he didn't ask Ananda. He said, Venerable Sir, there's been a problem. And so that he told the Buddha how the people had overdone it, had kind of taken that teaching in an unskillful way, and then the Buddha then taught mindfulness of breathing instead. To me, that story survives. There's probably more than a grain of truth in it. Exactly how that happened, I couldn't say. I don't think I was there. But that then the Buddha's saying, okay, well, that practice was given in good faith, and I meant it to be helpful to these monks. They took it in the wrong way. Okay, duly noted. Let's teach mindfulness of breathing instead, and make the focus something much more benign, so that he was able to recognize that this kind of practice, even from his own time, that people can take it in the wrong way and it can have harmful results. So it can be useful for particular people in particular situations, but handled with care. Well, if I look at you as a good-looking young man and your friend and Yona, good-looking young lads, but if I saw your pancreases sitting on the floor, I wouldn't think good-looking. If I saw your livers or your guts were stretched out to their full extent, I wouldn't say, good-looking young lads. I'd say, that's 30 meters of gut on my floor. What is that, the pancreas? It's like that's what's there. I mean, you both have pancreases. You both have many meters of guts. Take all your blood and pour it all out over the floor. If it's on the inside, it's doing its job. Take it out and pour it all over the floor. It's literally a bloody mess. So you're changing the perception, and you're recognizing that the conditioning, the strong conditioning we have, is with the external features: hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. So when you become a novice, either as a nun or as a monk, then this contemplation, you're given right in the ordination ceremony, the hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. That's your basic meditation object. Is what you take yourself to be is made of this. It looks like this is what it's put together with. What other people that you are attracted to or you have opinions about, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. So it's changing the view, and then it's seeing how what we call attractive is very contextual. So you might say, these lads have both got a good head of hair. If that hair is in my coffee, it's not, the goodness has somehow gone away. It's like, what's that in my coffee? Yeah. So it's on the head and arranged in an orderly way. You can call it good and say, appropriate. If it's in your food, it changes. So it's like recognizing the attractiveness is what the mind adds to the configuration of forms, and it's counteracting that superficial sense of good, or that conditional sense of goodness, and saying, well, in itself, it's just these qualities. And if you look, the billions and billions of euros and dollars and pounds that are spent around the world on hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. Yeah. Sometimes in town you get them all together. The dentists are usually in different places, but you get the hairdresser, the nail parlor, the tanning salon, and they're all kind of next to each other. Kesa, Loma, Naka, and Tacho. Dentists are usually different. Appreciating the vast amount of time, energy, effort, and identity that gets built up around that, and seeing what ways can we use to not get drawn into that and not make so much of that, so that we are freeing the heart from the limitations that come from continually buying into that.